Catherine, Princess of Wales, did not simply endure this past year. She held this family together while the world watched. And so, I will say this plainly. The future of the crown, with Catherine at its heart, is not built on noise. It is built on character.
Imagine a nation holding its breath, every eye fixed on the screens as King Charles steps forward. His expression is calm, yet in his gaze you can sense the weight of decades, the burdens of monarchy, the shadows of past controversies, and the quiet pain of personal trials. Tonight, this address is not just another speech, it is a deliberate signal, a blueprint for the future, and a declaration that the survival of the crown rests on one person, Princess Catherine. His words cut through the evening air like a knife tempered in fire, a tribute not to spectacle, nor to gossip, but to quiet resilience. Catherine, he says, is the unseen pillar of the monarchy, the steady hand holding the family together when the world assumes it is teetering. The nation hears it, but insiders whisper, this is far more than flattery. It is strategy, carefully crafted, meticulously reviewed over weeks behind the private walls of Windsor Castle. Every pause, every phrase carries meaning. Sources close to the palace hint at why now. The monarchy has faced relentless noise, tabloid storms, leaked memoirs, and media firestorms from distant relatives. Charles has witnessed the damage firsthand, the distraction and erosion that threaten to unravel centuries of tradition. Amid this chaos, Catherine's steadfastness shines, a beacon of composure, a quiet counterforce. The king, in front of cameras and millions of viewers worldwide, elevates her not as a supporting player, but as the linchpin of the crown's next chapter. We must rewind to the past year, a period of trials unlike any the modern monarchy has endured. Catherine faced not only personal health struggles, but navigated the turbulence of family crises and global scrutiny. In private corridors where every footstep echoes with expectation, she maintained composure. Aides describe late-night strategy sessions from her recovery room, virtual meetings to guide charitable initiatives, and a constant focus on family unity. Even in moments of private pain, she became the anchor, ensuring Prince William could fulfill duties without crumbling under pressure. The public saw fragments of this resilience, a calm smile at an event, a composed greeting. But behind closed doors, Catherine orchestrated the quiet maintenance of the monarchy's heartbeat. Calls, letters, subtle coordination with household staff, and delicate interventions between family members all went unnoticed, yet were critical to sustaining stability. It was here, amid whispers and unseen efforts, that Charles observed her rise, understanding that the throne's endurance relies not on spectacle, but on character. And then, the speech drops the subtle hint: the monarchy's future will no longer tolerate noise. Those who chase headlines, fuel controversies, or seek fleeting fame are reminded that the crown survives through quiet determination. Catherine embodies that principle. She is not a figure for tabloids, but a compass for a family and an institution under pressure. Her character, her resilience, her unwavering focus are not merely traits, they are now the blueprint for the monarchy's survival. Before we move to the next revelation, imagine the tension in homes across Britain. Charles pauses, the words hang in the air, the cameras capture every heartbeat, every inhalation. He has spoken, but what he has left unsaid is as explosive as what he has declared. The question now looms: what exactly did he intend with this address, and how does it reshape Catherine's role in the crown forever? To understand the weight of Charles's words, we must step behind the palace doors into the private corridors where the monarchy's quiet dramas unfold. Over the past year, Catherine faced trials the public barely glimpsed. Her health challenges were announced with measured poise, yet insiders described nights of exhaustion, long hours in hospital corridors, and the invisible burden of keeping a family together while the world watched. Every decision she made was calculated, not for headlines, but for the family and the institution she now anchors. Even in her weakest moments, she became the linchpin. Aides recall her insisting on virtual meetings from her recovery room, guiding charitable work that could not pause, orchestrating discussions that ensured Prince William balanced duty without faltering. She quietly mediated tensions, soothed disputes among relatives, and maintained the household's operational heartbeat, all without fanfare. The palace whispers described late-night calls, handwritten notes, subtle interventions that a casual observer would never notice, but which preserved cohesion amid unprecedented pressure. The king, observing from his own struggles, took note. He saw not the public appearances, not the carefully curated smiles for cameras, but the relentless consistency behind the scenes. He watched Catherine transform personal hardship into a shield for the monarchy. And this is what he highlighted in his address, a figure of quiet strength who elevates the crown, not through spectacle, but through sheer character. Sources insist Charles's words, so meticulously chosen, were a deliberate message to insiders and outsiders alike. Those who disrupt, distract, or divide would now see where true authority and influence lie. Social media erupted within minutes. Observers debated, was this a subtle rebuke to scandal-driven royals, or a signal to the public of Catherine's rising centrality? Palace aides confirm it was both. Charles wanted to shift attention from fleeting drama to enduring virtue. Catherine's role was no longer symbolic. She had become the stabilizing force the monarchy could rely on. And it wasn't just about internal family management. Her impact extended to public perception, charitable campaigns, and even the preparation of the next generation of royals. Sources reveal strategic moments behind the scenes that illustrate her influence. One private gathering, intentionally kept from the press, brought the king, Catherine, and William together to discuss succession planning and family cohesion. Another account describes her personally ensuring morale among staff and aides remained high, sending notes of encouragement and maintaining routines even when physically drained. Every action was subtle but intentional, a silent message of control and foresight. Charles's choice to speak of noise in his address now becomes clearer. He referred to tabloid scandals, leaked memos, and media chaos, forces that could undermine trust in the crown. Catherine, in contrast, modeled restraint, empathy, and focus. Her public engagements, even amid personal adversity, reinforced the monarchy's mission through meaningful action. From charitable initiatives to early childhood campaigns, she demonstrated that influence comes from substance, not spectacle. By elevating Catherine, Charles was signaling the crown's next chapter. The monarchy's survival, he implied, depends less on inherited authority or grand gestures, and more on character, strategy, and resilience. Catherine had proven herself not just a partner in name, but the cornerstone of the family and institution alike, a role she quietly assumed while others sought the spotlight. The tension builds, with Catherine solidified as the central figure behind the crown's stability. Questions linger. How far will this influence extend, and what moves are being orchestrated behind the palace doors to cement her legacy as the monarchy's true guardian? While the nation watched Charles's address, the real story unfolded behind the palace walls. Catherine's influence, sources say, was already reshaping the monarchy's inner workings. Every decision, every charitable initiative, every family gathering she coordinated was part of a subtle, deliberate blueprint. It wasn't just about surviving crises, it was about quietly consolidating authority while preserving the crown's legacy. Palace insiders reveal that during Charles's hospital stays, Catherine became the de facto strategist, liaising with aides, advisors, and senior royals to ensure continuity. She coordinated schedules, mediated disputes, and even oversaw discreet adjustments to ceremonial roles to strengthen cohesion. A palace aide described her as a calm center in a storm, the one keeping threads from unraveling while the rest of us scrambled. This wasn't mere multitasking, it was governance in miniature, executed without public acknowledgement, yet no less consequential. Her influence extended beyond logistics. She became a moral compass for the family, from resolving subtle tensions between senior royals to guiding William through thorny public engagements. Catherine's hand was visible only in results, never in fanfare. Observers note her uncanny ability to combine empathy with decisive action, balancing compassion for individuals with the crown's larger purpose. One aide, speaking anonymously, said, "She doesn't just keep the family together, she keeps the monarchy intact." Even in moments of personal struggle, Catherine maintained her composure. Her recovery from illness was a testament to resilience, but also a demonstration of leadership. Late-night calls, orchestrating visits for Charles, and supervising charitable initiatives, all while under physical duress, solidified her reputation as the backbone of the royal family. Unlike others who sought attention, she acted quietly, strategically, leaving only results in her wake. Charles's address, insiders suggest, was a calculated acknowledgement of this quiet power. He spoke of noise deliberately, contrasting it with Catherine's measured, principled approach. He highlighted her ability to navigate challenges without drama, subtly signaling to the palace and the public that the monarchy's future rested not on spectacle, but on steady character. The king's words were more than praise, they were a mandate. Catherine as the central pillar, the one to lead the institution with integrity and foresight. Behind the scenes, Catherine's initiatives were already transforming public perception. Her campaigns on early childhood education, youth mental health, and community engagement demonstrated both empathy and efficiency. She embraced digital platforms to reach younger generations, connecting with audiences authentically. Insiders note that Charles and senior aides frequently referenced her input when planning public communications, a tacit recognition of her influence on shaping the monarchy's narrative. Yet Catherine's rise was not without subtle resistance. Distant family factions and media observers occasionally misread her silence for passivity. In truth, every move was calculated, measured, and strategic. From private family briefings to public engagements, she maintained an unbroken chain of influence, carefully steering the crown through a turbulent year. Observers now describe a palace realignment. Catherine at the center, the family's cohesion and future authority increasingly dependent on her judgment. As whispers of her growing role circulate, the public begins to notice small but significant shifts. More joint appearances with Charles, increased visibility in patronages, and decisive leadership during crises. This is Catherine's era in formation, guided not by ostentation, but by the quiet, relentless work that earned Charles's public tribute. The blueprint is clear. Resilience, character, and discretion are now the currency of power. With Charles's address still reverberating across Britain, Catherine's influence began to ripple outward into public perception. While many focused on the king's words, insiders reveal that behind the cameras, Catherine was actively shaping the crown's image in ways unprecedented for a Princess of Wales. Her approach was subtle but relentless, a combination of strategic visibility, authentic engagement, and quiet authority that left no room for missteps or distractions. Her digital initiatives became a key part of this effort. Sources say Catherine personally oversaw campaigns highlighting mental health, early childhood development, and environmental responsibility. Unlike flashy royal announcements of the past, her projects were data-driven, practical, and deeply human. Palace aides note that she frequently reviewed content herself, ensuring messaging reflected not only royal tradition, but also relatable empathy. One insider remarked, "She doesn't just wear the crown, she embodies the responsibility that comes with it." Meanwhile, Catherine's public appearances became more than ceremonial obligations. They were deliberate displays of leadership. From charity visits to school openings, she engaged with communities with genuine curiosity and warmth. Observers describe her interactions as effortless but purposeful, kneeling to speak with children, asking thoughtful questions, and remembering names and details that made people feel seen. In the eyes of palace insiders, every handshake, smile, and conversation reinforced a growing narrative. Catherine as the stabilizing force, the unseen architect of continuity. Behind the palace doors, her authority extended even further. She convened private discussions with senior aides and family members to address succession planning, ceremonial responsibilities, and internal cohesion. Sources reveal that these meetings were not merely administrative, they were strategic sessions, positioning her as both mediator and decision-maker. William reportedly praised her foresight, noting that her calm direction prevented minor tensions from escalating into public controversies. Catherine's ability to maintain unity while subtly asserting influence was a masterclass in quiet power. Her health journey only magnified this effect. Sources recount long nights where she coordinated family schedules, advised Charles during recovery periods, and ensured the children maintained normalcy, all while managing her own medical appointments. This duality, resilience in personal struggle, coupled with meticulous attention to family and institutional stability, caught the attention of both Charles and palace officials. She showed what it means to lead without demanding recognition, said a senior aide, and the family couldn't ignore it any longer. The king's reference to noise in his address now takes on new weight. Catherine's calm, consistent approach stood in stark contrast to the distractions created by media speculation, distant relatives' commentary, and palace controversies. Sources emphasize that her influence helped redirect the monarchy's focus from scandal to substance, restoring credibility in the eyes of the public and within the royal household itself. Even symbolic gestures carried meaning. From reimagined charitable events to carefully choreographed appearances alongside Charles, each action was calculated to reinforce cohesion and continuity. By aligning tradition with modern relevance, Catherine positioned herself as indispensable, not merely as a supportive spouse, but as the moral and operational backbone of the monarchy. Insiders describe the palace atmosphere as transformed, less reactionary, more deliberate, with Catherine at the helm of quiet strategy. As the world digested Charles's speech, the palace machinery had already shifted. Catherine's era of influence was no longer subtle whispers, it was coordinated action. Her presence was felt in every major decision, every public engagement, and in the very ethos of the Crown's modernized approach. Observers now describe a clear message. The monarchy's future stability rests on her judgment, resilience, and unwavering sense of duty.
As 2025 unfolds, Catherine's influence has transcended mere ceremonial duty. She is now a fulcrum around which the monarchy pivots. Sources inside the palace reveal that decisions, from family matters to national initiatives, are increasingly filtered through her perspective. Her guidance ensures that tradition remains respected while modern relevance is embraced, creating a royal blueprint that balances authority with empathy. Observers note that Charles's address was both a public acknowledgement and a strategic signal. Catherine is no longer a supporting figure. She is the crown's stabilizing core. Behind the scenes, Catherine's role extends to mentoring the next generation. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis are reportedly being taught through hands-on participation in charitable visits and environmental projects, guided by Catherine's principles of duty, empathy, and resilience. Palace aides suggest that she emphasizes practical leadership skills, fostering not just awareness of royal responsibilities, but the character required to wield them wisely. Her involvement in these formative experiences signals a deliberate shaping of the monarchy's future lineage, positioning her as both guardian and architect of the next generation. Her presence also reshapes internal dynamics. The palace, long accustomed to hierarchical formality, now operates with a subtler, more cohesive energy. Aides report that Catherine's consistent guidance prevents minor disagreements from escalating, promotes unified messaging, and ensures the family projects strength during public scrutiny. Her quiet interventions have strengthened bonds between Charles and William, smoothing tensions and aligning their visions for the monarchy's role in modern Britain. These changes, insiders note, are as significant as any public decree. The public, too, has taken notice. Social media and press coverage reflect admiration for Catherine's composed leadership, her empathetic engagement with the public, and her ability to maintain privacy amid immense pressure. Unlike those who court attention, Catherine's influence is earned through consistency, discretion, and results. Analysts suggest that her growing stature within the monarchy sets a precedent for future royal conduct, emphasizing substance over spectacle and long-term vision over short-term headlines. Symbolically, Catherine's stewardship is reinforced through key ceremonial moments. Her participation in state events, patronage launches, and charitable campaigns has been meticulously curated to demonstrate a combination of grace, intellect, and decisiveness. Observers note that every gesture, from her poised interactions with the public to her careful coordination with palace staff, reinforces the perception of an institution that is stable, purposeful, and forward-looking. This is a monarchy subtly recalibrated by character, not pageantry. Charles's address, in this context, serves as both recognition and endorsement. By highlighting her strength amid noise, he signals that Catherine embodies the qualities required to preserve the crown's relevance in an era of global scrutiny. The speech was more than tribute. It was a strategic declaration of trust and authority, cementing her as the crown's moral and operational anchor. In effect, Catherine's influence has become inseparable from the monarchy's identity itself. As whispers of past controversies fade, the focus shifts to a monarchy defined by resilience, unity, and principled leadership. Catherine, sources affirm, will continue to guide, mentor, and shape royal initiatives, ensuring that the institution thrives not through spectacle, but through integrity and quiet, steadfast stewardship. For the first time in decades, the crown's future is tied to the unassailable character of one woman whose presence ensures that the monarchy is not just surviving, it is being reborn. The king's message was clear. The monarchy's next chapter will be written in the ink of consistency, empathy, and unwavering resolve.
and at its center, Catherine stands as both guardian and guide, the living embodiment of a crown renewed.